Unpack the Gaza peace plan, its breakthroughs, its fault lines, and future risks. Joining us is Ambassador S.R. Tayal. He's a former senior diplomat. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for being with us. Now, what do you read into this proposed board of peace? What sort of balance can it provide to the Palestinian aspirations for sovereignty, self-governance, and then there's always the fear of Israeli interference?
I think the Palestinian aspiration for a separate Palestine as a country and the two-state solution which India and more than 140, 145 countries of the world want, that is still in a distant horizon. What we and the world is heaving a sigh of relief is that the 2 years of carnage after 7th October 2023 of that terrible terrorist attack by Hamas and 1,500 people were killed, and after that 60, 70,000 Gazans have died because of the war, etc. That has come to an end. So it is a first step towards peace in the region, and the template is very clearly written in the 20-point plan of President Donald Trump, which he shared with the world on 29 September.
Yes.
And we need to be very clear that the entire Arab world, all the important countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, non-Arab Turkey, other Islamic countries, they are fully on board with that.
Okay.
So we just should look at the 20-point plan of President Trump and what are the steps. So first step has been taken that the 20 living hostages have been released. There is some quibbling about the 30 bodies that Hamas is saying bodies are not known where they are, but that is a detail. The major issue which will now in Sharm el-Sheikh, there is a summit. 20 world leaders are there. Our MOS is also there. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had been invited, but he had other engagements.
Yes.
The two important things which need to come out from Sharm el-Sheikh is, one, the international stabilization force. Because the whole idea is that Hamas will have no role in the governance of Gaza.
Yes.
And all the Hamas operatives will be disarmed. Either they should surrender, or if they do not, then they should be provided safe passage to some other country.
Yes, indeed. But Ambassador Tayal, are there any enough safeguards in place in this 20-point program to, ensure the compliance of both Israel and Hamas?
The safeguards ultimately, Israel can also violate and Hamas can also violate. But perhaps the people of Gaza also are now fed up with all that suffering which they have gone through in the last 2 years. And perhaps the support to Hamas within Gaza is very weak. And if all the Arab countries who also have actually been quite against Hamas historically because of different reasons, political convictions, etc., they are on board, then Hamas is totally isolated. And Iran also has been practically its capacity to aid Hamas, which he had been doing for decades. That is also decapitated. Hezbollah is finished in Lebanon, Syria, Bashar Hussein's regime is gone. So Israel and United States have worked in tandem.
Okay.
And one by one, they have destroyed all the supporters of Hamas which were outside Gaza. So Hamas, I think, has no option. Okay. And the people of Palestine, including Gaza, should move forward on this 20-point plan, have some reconstruction. There is an international stabilization force. Then, of course, there is a development, temporary regional governance development board of peace, international board of peace, which will be chaired by President Trump himself.
Right.
That how much he is investing, his own prestige, his own power, his own influence in this. one should be optimistic, as our statements and our Prime Minister's tweets and statements clearly.
Yes, indeed. Ambassador Tayal, also humanitarian aid is going to obviously start coming in greater force. And then there's the reconstruction also. Is this going to lead to some sort of dependency on donor countries rather than, the development of local institutions within Gaza?
See, Palestine has always been dependent on donor countries and UNRWA, etc. They don't have much of economy, and now so much has been destroyed. The reconstruction itself will take a huge amount of aid. So we are seeing years of reconstruction before Gaza comes to a stage before what it was before October 2023. It will be a very long haul. But these are the first steps towards peace in Gaza, reconstruction of Gaza, and some kind of eventual peace in whole of Palestine, West Bank, for instance.
Right.
Israel has been expanding its settlements in West Bank. What is the situation there? Is that also part of some agreement? Because it's very clear that many political parties which are far right in Israel, they do not want a two-state solution at all.
Yes, indeed.
And Prime Minister Netanyahu's government depends on their support. So there are too many balls in the air.
Right.
One should perhaps look too far at a two-state solution. If on a scale of 1 to 10, two-state solution, two states, Palestine and Israel staying side by side, even that scale, that is 10.
Okay.
We are practically at 0 or 1. So we should gradually, the entire world should help in this process.
So,
how
is the world going to help at this Sharm el-Sheikh summit? Would you see that, there are regional powers, even global powers playing a financing role in Gaza's recovery to start with? And would you see some competing interests at play?
Yes, certainly the major countries, all the major rich Arab countries are there. Prince Salman is there, UAE is there, Turkey. So the composition of international stabilization force, because that will mean some kind of armed forces, which will disarm Hamas and sort of train Palestinian policemen. That is one very important part of as we go forward in the coming weeks. And then temporary transitional governance, because the aid has started flowing, how it will be distributed, who will control the distribution, who will regulate water, electricity, etc. So the municipal services have to come back, and for that some kind of a transitional governance is required, which will consist mainly of the local Palestinians, but they have to be non-Hamas as far as Israel is concerned. So there are too many details, but they can all be worked out if there is some sincerity on the part of all sides. But Hamas, I would think, that is in a very weak position. It would have lost a lot of support within Gaza because of the terrible tragedy which has struck that land of 2 million people. 60, 70,000 people have died, and we see on the television what kind of destruction they've gone through.
Indeed.
But construction will be a long haul, which will require a lot of money and finances. So international aid will need to step up. The French president is there, British UK Prime Minister is there. So a lot of aid will come, but it will take time. It will be a long haul. But whatever is happening today is a very good news for Palestine, for West Asia, and for the world.
Okay, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Ambassador S.R. Tayal, former senior diplomat. Thank you for unpacking that and putting that into context for us.